Hi everyone, welcome to another session on Nimbella. I'm Nikhil. I am work as a technical lead at Nimbella. So today we are going to be talking about it's an extension on what we spoke about last couple of days ago. So I'll be talking about the Nimbella node project. In this talk, I'll answer some of the questions I had got on the web on deploying the web and UI on the Nimbella platform. So I'll just recap what we did last week. In last session. So I showed an example of an Nimbella node project, and I spoke about some of the APIs which we have exposed and that is present under the source folder, and also under the packages and Nimbus folder. So we went over all the APIs and how do you write the functions and actions and how do you share the code among with them, and also as to how you deploy the project via GitHub. So I showed the actions also, and in this session I'm going to be talking about the web UI aspect of it. So we had also deployed the CI/CD for this in using GitHub workflows, um, where we specified the two jobs. One was to run the test, and the other one was to deploy the test. So we will link the previous session in the description. So you can go over that if you have missed it, and you can come back here and you can talk about the questions you might have on this as well. So let me just start off by saying that in Nimbella node project, Nimbella project comprises of two main aspects. One is the web and one is the backend. So the backend is where you have your APIs and your functions, and web is where you deploy your front end and UI and its and static assets. So the only change between the last session and this session was in last session we didn't have a web folder, and my friend and colleague Pulkit was kind enough to write a React app for the APIs, and he wrote a very simple React app in a day, and you can go through that and see what it is, what it comprises of. So I just want to explain the code structure of the web folder. It comprises of two main things. One is the build.sh and build.command. So build.sh is for the Linux. In case you are building on Linux, build.command is for Windows. So a build.sh will just specify as to how to build your app. If you are using a React app, or if you are using AngularJS or whichever UI framework, you can specify how you want to build the app. So in this case, what is being done is you are going to enter into the Nimbus UI directory and run npm install. Then you are going to copy the environment variable from environment production if it is present. Then you are going to delete the build folder and run build. So this generates a build folder which will contain all your generated static assets. So if you go back to the web folder here, then you specify in the include file as to what actions, what needs to be included for the deployment to actually take place. So in this case, you have Nimbus UI/build, which is what is being rendered by the CDN. So this is what will be rendered, and these are the two main important files which you need to specify. The include folder, you need to specify uh, which folder you need to render, and this comprises of all the static assets and ever JavaScript code and whatever it is. And you also have to specify the build.sh to uh, let the nim CLI know how to deploy. And the Nimbus UI code consists of all the React code. So this can be any sort of code. It can even be just simple HTML or CSS. It doesn't matter, as long as you let the Nimbella CLI know how to pick up and what exactly to render. And the very interesting thing about this is there's no changes which is done to my GitHub workflow file. So if I go to actions and take a look at the action which was merged recently. So both the test and deploy passed. And here, so I have run the DB migration like we did last time, and it runs the deploy script like we do last time as well. So which is where you run npm run deploy, and this in turn will run nim project deploy on the source folder. So the source folder has packages and web folder. So which in this case runs this particular static assets, and it runs the build.sh in the source folder. So it picks up the build.sh and it deploys all the stuff into Nimbela's CDN. So you have your static assets which are automatically deployed onto a Nimbela site, and you also have a HTTPS which is secure. So you wouldn't have to do much. So I just clicked on this, and so it shows certain things which the app does, which is you can create a project. So this is a test project. It's a very simple thing. My colleague was kind enough to build this in a day. Um, so it's pretty straightforward. So it would have created this test project which you can edit it. If you want, you can also delete it. So all of this is done, and the way the development you can do is you can start off by creating a web folder, and you can start off, and you have to make sure that the web folder is in same level as the packages folder. So the packages, the project.yaml and web folder are in the same line, and in the web folder you need to specify two important, along with your code you need to specify the build.sh, giving it the instruction as to what to build and how to build, and include folder should include which folder to render the static assets which are built. So the another important aspect of this is the project.yaml file. So we have the project.yaml file, and last time, if you remember, we had just the packages, because this is what is used for the backend, and bucket is what is used on the front end. I'll explain each of this attribute which we have. So I'll just go back to see if there's any questions. So what kind of languages can be used in Nimbela? So we support multiple languages. You can use React. You can use React for the UI. For the backend, you can implement in Python, Node.js, Java, Scala, any supported languages. You can see which languages we support on our website. So you can use any of the languages to implement your application. Coming back to the project.yaml, so we have this bucket strip, and we saw how the web was deployed. So if I go back here, I can see using the web command what are all the static assets which are deployed. So this entire thing has been deployed by this thing, by the build script. So if I go back here, it shows from 404 HTML the entire thing. So you can potentially manipulate your UI from using the nim web subcommand. So it clean will delete all the storage from your web. You can also manually create your content via the CLI. It's not necessary that you have to use the web folder. You can also do it in case you want to test something and update something. Similarly, delete will also delete the specific piece of code from the web storage. Get will get the storage list is what I ran. Nim web update updates the content in the web storage. So this is when you make any changes in the web and you want to update it. So that's the layout of the project which is present here with web, and the entire thing is rendered via the Nimbela's CDN. So if I go back here, and if you want to see more detailed about the documentation, you can always click on NimDoc, and which opens you the how to use of Nimbela this thing. So the interesting part which I want to talk about is the project.yaml file or the bucket prefixes which are all supported. So bucket is only for your UI, if you remember. This is taking the project.yaml, and you can have different configurations as well. So prefix path is chat room. What it does is it's normally you have your API path as like this. You have your namespace /host.nimbela.io, and prefix path will add that prefix as /chat room into your code. So it's going to be like this. It's going to have your namespace /host.nimbela.io /chatroom.html. So this is going to add one more level of hierarchy in your code. That is what the prefix path does. Clean, what it does is each time you make a deployment, you want to make sure that it deletes all your web bucket. So if you are going to be modifying your files and adding more files and deleting few files, setting this to true will clean the bucket. So this is also a practice which you can use. And the main page suffix attribute, what it does is, normally when your UI is rendered, it usually defaults to index.html. You can change this to chatroom.html via using main suffix page suffix flag. And similarly, not found page is you have a default 404 error which Nimbella provides, and if in case you want to customize it to your HTML, then you can specify it to your specific error.html. Use cache is where you specify that your CDN needs to cache your data. By default, this is set to false. You can set this to true. Similarly, strip does the reverse of prefix path. So normally you have when you use React app, you are having a build folder, but it can add a subsequent another level of folder like public, which you don't want to show in your application. So for example, if I don't mention strip, then this is going to be like slash public slash, and it's going to add another level. So strip will strip this single path, and how many such paths can be stripped depends on your application. So in this case, the strip is 1. So this is an important configuration which is required for your deploying your web, and that is what is also specified here. That is what is used. And I just also want to explain one more cool feature which we have. This is where the UI part of it has, which is used, and you can see we are using Axios, but we are not using the complete base URL, which is what it is. We are just using /API/Nimbus and commenting this out. The reason is because both of this is kind of rendered into a single namespace. So you have a namespace allotted to you by Nimbella. So this is going to be specified, and this is implicitly understood by the stack and by the CDN. So you wouldn't have to specify this. However, when you're testing locally and when you're developing locally, having the complete path of the API is helpful. So that way you don't have to specify the complete base URL. So that's one of the things as well. So let me see if there's any questions. Yeah, so we use Python. Yeah, you can use Python, you can use Java. So whichever languages is comfortable for you, you can use it. The example in this case is using a backend of Node and the front end of React, but you might as well simply change this to however you see fit. Just to go through the structure again. So you have the packages, which is the backend, which is rendered by controlled by project.yaml, and you have the web, which is the front end, which is again configurable via the project.yaml file. That's about the web and this thing. And another thing which you can do via deployment is for incremental deployment is when you do new project deploy, you can use certain options which we provide. So instead of supporting the source, you can exclude a certain folder. So if you are doing any development on backend and you don't want to deploy the web because there's no change, then you can exclude the web part. You can add this flag even in your GitHub workflow. So if let's say you change only your backend and there's no need for you to deploy your front end, then you can add this flag to see that only if the backend is changed, then you can exclude the backend, or vice versa. You can only include the backend whenever the backend is changed, and similarly you can only include the UI whenever it is specified. Another interesting useful feature is an incremental feature. So when you deploy and you make changes, you don't want to deploy the entire thing again when there's no change. So you can use an incremental flag, which is going to understand that, okay, I have deployed 3 or 4 actions, or I have deployed web already, so I will not do it. So this speeds up the process of your development of your actions in your web UI. You can specify also as to which specific directory you want to receive the web deploy from. So instead of having it rendered from the data bucket which is provided, you can also deploy from a local path as well. So you can use this also. So these are some of the features which we have for deploying static assets. Again, coming back again, I'll just summarize what we have done, which is which is the source folder, and the source folder has web, which is again where you specify the build.sh and build.command. And all of this, once you set up the deployment, you can control and see and monitor what has happened via the nimweb keyword. So you can do a nimweb help to debug and figure out what you want to do. So that's about it on the website of the things. I'll just see if there's any questions on it. How do you use Nimbella in GitHub? So it's important to follow the code structure which I mentioned here. So if you do this, then you can deploy it as well. So you can probably create a structure like this, and you can deploy your project via GitHub. So I have cloned it here, and I have deployed it from this thing. So I have created a .github workflow, and this is going to work on pushing out the changes to the master branch. It's going to run um, the tests. It's going to download and run the tests on MySQL, and similarly it's going to deploy the changes also. So this is the test script, and this is the deploy script. So the deploy will install the Nimbella CLI and run deploy on it, and it gets deployed, and this is how you pass the environment variables, which I have discussed all of this in the previous session. So you can go through that, and I've discussed that in pretty detail. So I hope that answers the question as to how to use Nimbella in GitHub. I'll see if there's any more questions. So I was also asked a question as to whether you can split your front end and your back end into separate repositories. The answer is yes, you can do it, as long as both of them are deployed and you have control as to how they are deployed into a single namespace. You can potentially split up your repositories so that the front end team can work on the front end and the back end team can work on the back end on the separate UIs, but both of them will be deploying it to the same namespace. So nothing is going to change there. Everything is going to be a replica. For the backend side, there is not going to be a web folder, and vice versa on the reverse. On the other side, there's not going to be packages folder, and correspondingly the project.yaml is going to change. So for the backend, there's not going to be bucket, and for packages, there's not going to be any this thing as well. So yeah, so you can deploy your React app or Angular app or whichever app you want, and have it rendered on Nimbella's CDN. So if there's any question, let me know. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this session. It's a pretty quick and a small session on deploying a project on web. In the next session, I can talk about Redis and Object Store, which we also provide in a serverless manner. And you can always look at the documentation here. So if you look at the documentation, we have a pretty detailed documentation on how to deploy the static asset. So you can look for it here. So let me see if I find static. So this is what is interesting, and what you for UI developers you can. I just repeated what is mentioned here. So you can look at the project structure and how it is deployed and how it works. So you can also get the URL of your web by doing nim current. It will give you the website, the web UI. So this is your namespace, and this is the remaining API. So Is GitHub Actions mandatory? No, it is not mandatory. So you can it's up to you to do it. I like to do it because I don't have to maintain the environment variables and everything on my local machine. So I also have the tests running. So whenever I commit changes, I know they work. So I test things locally and then I deploy it, which gets pushed to the production automatically. So it's not necessary to do it, but it's a good practice to follow. Can you send the documentation to my email? You can download the CLI, and the documentation is actually available um, on our website. So if you go to nimbala.com and resources, you can find documentation as well. So you can sign up for an account, and you can download the CLI, and you can go to the Nimbala landing page in order to download the CLI, and you will find the CLI documentation here. So there are demo projects also which you can take a look. We have multiple applications which we have deployed here. This one is slightly bigger, and this one's sole purpose was to answer some of the questions we received on our Slack channel. So I have few minutes. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask me. Okay, looks like there's no more questions, so I'll just stop sharing my screen. And I guess that's about it. So in case you guys have any questions, feel free to ping us on Slack in the developer IPL channel. And in the next session, we'll talk about objects and Redis as well, so that you'll understand how to use the Redis key value store and do it. So we'll modify the app again, and we'll build on top of it, and you can do it as well. So I guess that's about it. So thanks everyone for joining.